ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रियवाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री गुरुदेव जी की जय। चैप्टर 5 श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत ग्लोरीज ऑफ लॉर्ड नित्यानंद राम। टेक्स्ट 42। तहाँ ये रामेर रूप मह संकर्षण चित शक्ति आश्रयति हो कारणेर कारण। तहाँ there ye which Ramera Rupa, the personal feature of Balaram, Mahasankarshana, Chit Shakti Ashray, the shelter of the spiritual potency, Tiho, he, Karanera Karana, the cause of all causes. There in the spiritual sky, the personal feature of Balaram called Mahasankarshana is the shelter of the spiritual energy. He is the primary cause, the cause of all causes. Chit Shakti Velas Eka Shuddha Sattva Nama, Shuddha Sattva Maya, Yat Vaikuntha Dham. Chit Shakti Velas, past tense in the spiritual energy. Eka, one, Shuddha Sattva Nama, named Shuddha Sattva, pure existence, free from material contamination. Shuddha Sattva Maya, of purely spiritual existence. Yata, all, Vaikuntha Dham, the spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas. One variety of pastimes of the spiritual energy is described as pure goodness, Vishuddha Sattva. It comprises all the abodes of Vaikuntha. Shadashwarya, Vedashwarya, षड्विध ऐश्वर्य ताह सकल चिन्मय संकर्षणीर विभूति सब जानी निश्चय। षड्विध ऐश्वर्य, 6 kinds of opulences. Taha, there, sakala chinmaya, everything spiritual. Sankarshanir, of Lord Sankarshana. Vibhuti sab, all different opulences. Janiya nishchaya, know certainly. The 6 attributes are all spiritual. Know for certain that they are all manifestations of the opulence of Sankarshana. Jiva nama तटस्थाख्य एक शक्ति हय महासंकर्षण सब जीवेर आश्रय. Jiva, the living entity, Nama, named, Tatastakhya, known as marginal potency, Eka, one, Shakti, energy, Haya, is, Mahasankarshan, Sab, all, Jivera, of living entities, Ashraya, the shelter. There is one marginal potency known as Jiva. Mahasankarshana is the shelter of all Jivas. यहाँ ही ते विश्वोत्पत्ति यहाँ ते प्रलय से पुरुषेर संकर्षण समाश्रय. यहाँ ही ते from whom विश्व उत्पत्ति, the creation of material cosmic manifestation. यहाँ ते in whom pralaya, merging, से पुरुषेर, of that supreme personality of Godhead. संकर्षण समाश्रय, the original shelter. Sankarshan is the original shelter of the Purusha, from whom this world is created and in whom it is dissolved. सर्वाश्रय सर्वाद्भुत ऐश्वर्य अपार अनंत कहिते नारे महिमा यहार. Sarvashraya, the shelter of everything. Sarvadbhuta, wonderful in every respect. Aishwarya, opulences. Apara, unfathomed. Ananta Shesha, kahite nare, cannot speak. Mahima yahar, the glories of whom. He, Sankarshan, is the shelter of everything. He is wonderful in every respect and his opulences are infinite. Even Ananta cannot describe his glory. Turiya Vishuddha Sattva Sankarshana Nama, Tiho Yar Amsha Se Nityananda Rama. Turiya, transcendental Vishuddha Sattva, pure existence. Sankarshana Nama, named Sankarshana. Tiho Yar Amsha, of whom that Sankarshan is also partial expansion. Say Nityananda Rama, that person is known as Balaram or Nityananda. That Sankarshan, who is transcendental pure goodness, is a partial expansion of Nityananda Rama. अष्टम श्लोकेर कैल संक्षेप विवरण नवम श्लोकेर अर्थ शून्य दीयमान. अष्टम श्लोकेर 8th of the verse Kaila, I have done Sankshepa in brief Vivarana description, Navama, the ninth, Shlokera of the verse, Artha, the meaning, Shona, please hear, Diyamana, with mental attention. I have briefly explained the eighth verse, now please listen with the attention as I explain the ninth verse. माया भर्ता जाण्डसङ्घर्षयाङ्गः सेते साक्षात्कारणाम्बोधिमध्ये यस्यैकांश श्रीपुमानादिदेवस्तं श्रीनित्यानन्दरामं प्रपद्ये Maya Bharta, the master of illusory energy, Aj Anda Sangha, the multitude of universes, Ashray, the shelter, Anga, whose body, Shete, he lies Sakshat, directly Karanambodhi Mathe, in the midst of causal ocean. Yasya, whose Ekamsha, one portion, Sri Puman, the Supreme Person, Adi Deva, the original Purusha incarnation, Tam to him, Sri Nityananda Ramam, to Lord Balrama in the form of Lord Nityananda, Prapatye, I surrender. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, whose partial representation called Karana Dakshay Vishnu, lying on the Karana ocean, is the original Purusha, the master of illusory energy and the shelter of all universes. वैकुंठादि बाहिरे ये ज्योतिर्मय धाम ताहर बाहिरे कारणार्णव नाम Vaikuntha Bahire, outside the Vaikuntha planets, yea, that Jyotimaya Dhama, impersonal Brahman effulgence, Tahara Bahire, outside that effulgence, Karanarnava Nama, an ocean of Karan. Outside the Vaikuntha planets is the impersonal Brahman effulgence, and beyond that effulgence is the Karana ocean or causal ocean. The impersonal glowing effulgence, known as impersonal Brahman, is the outer space of Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky. Beyond that impersonal Brahman is the great causal ocean which lies between the material and spiritual skies. The material nature is a byproduct of this causal ocean. Karanodakshay Vishnu, who lies on the causal ocean, creates universes merely by glancing upon the material nature. Therefore, Krishna personally has nothing to do with the material creation. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that the Lord glances over the material nature and thus she produces the many material universes. Neither Krishna in Goloka nor Narayan in Vaikuntha comes directly in contact with the material creation. They are completely aloof from the material energy. It is a function of Mahasankarshan in the form of Karanodakshay Vishnu to glance over the material creation, which is situated beyond the limits of the causal ocean. Material nature is connected with the personality of Godhead by his glance over her and nothing more. It is said that she is impregnated by the energy of his glance. The material energy, Maya, never even touches the causal ocean, for the Lord's glance focuses upon her from a great distance away. The glancing power of Lord agitates the entire cosmic energy and thus its action begins at once. This indicates that matter, however powerful she may be, has no power of herself. Her activity begins by the grace of the Lord. Then the entire cosmic creation is manifested in a systematic way. The example of woman's conception can help us understand this subject to a certain extent. The mother is passive, but the father puts his energy within the mother, and thus she supplies the ingredients for the birth of the child in her womb. Similarly, the Lord activates material nature, which then supplies the ingredients for cosmic development. Material nature has two different phases. The aspect called Pradhan supplies the material ingredients for cosmic development, and the aspect called Maya causes the manifestation of ingredients which are temporary, like foam in the ocean. In reality, temporary manifestation of material nature are originally caused by the spiritual glance of the Lord. The personality of Godhead is direct or remote cause of creation, and material nature is indirect or immediate cause. Materialistic scientists puffed up by material magical changes, their so-called inventions, have brought about, cannot see the real potency of Godhead behind the matter. Therefore, the jugglery of the science is gradually leading people to the godless civilization at the cost of the goal of human life. Having missed the goal of life, materialists run after self-sufficiency, not knowing that material nature is already self-sufficient by the grace of God. Thus, creating the colossal hoax in the name of civilization, they create an imbalance in the nature of in the natural self-sufficiency of material nature. To think of material nature as all in all, not knowing the original cause, is ignorance. Lord Chaitanya appeared in order to dissipate this darkness of ignorance by igniting the spark of spiritual life that can, by his causeless mercy, enlighten the entire world. To explain how Maya acts by Krishna's power, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita gives the example of an iron rod in a fire. Although the rod is not fire, it becomes red hot and acts like fire itself. Similarly, all the actions and reactions of material nature are not actually the work of material nature, but are actions and reactions of energy of the Supreme Lord manifested through matter. The power of electricity is transmitted through medium of copper, but this does not mean the copper is electricity. The power is generated at the powerhouse under the control of an expert living being. Similarly, behind all jugglery of the natural laws is a great living being who is a person like a mechanical engineer in a powerhouse. It is by his intelligence that entire cosmic creation moves in a systematic way. The modes of nature which directly causes the material action are also originally activated by Narayan. A simple example will explain how this is so. When a potter manufacturer manufactures a pot from clay, the potter's wheel, his tools, and the clay are the immediate causes of the pot, but the potter is the chief cause. Similarly, Narayan is the chief cause of all material creations, and the material energy supplies the ingredients of matter. Therefore, without Narayan, all other causes are useless, just as the potter's wheel and tools are useless without the potter himself. Since materialistic scientists ignore the personality of Godhead, it is as if they were concerned with the potter's wheel and its rotation, the potter's tools and ingredients for the pots, but had no knowledge of the potter himself. Therefore, modern science has created an imperfect godless civilization that is in gross ignorance of the ultimate cause. Scientific advancement should have a great goal to attain, and that great goal should be the personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that after conducting research for many birds, great men of knowledge who stress the importance of experimental thought can know the personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes. When one knows him perfectly, one surrenders unto him and then becomes a Mahatma. Text 52. वैकुंठ बेड़िया एक आछे जल निधि अनंत अपार तार नाही कवधि. Vaikuntha, the spiritual planets of Vaikuntha, Bedia, surrounding, Eka, one, Ache, there is, Jalanidhi, ocean of water, Ananta, unlimited, Apar, unfathomed, Tara, of that, Nahika, no, Avadhi, limitation. Surrounding Vaikuntha is a mass of water that is endless, unfathomed, and unlimited. वैकुंठेर पृथ्वी आदि सकल चिन्मय मायिका भूतेर तति जन्म nahi hai. Vaikuntera of the spiritual world, Prithvi Yadi, earth, water, etc. Sakala, all, Chinmaya, spiritual, Maika, material, Bhutera, of elements, Tati, there, Janma, generation, Nahi hai. There is not. The earth, water, fire, air, and ether of Vaikuntha are all spiritual. Material elements are not found there. चिन्मय जल से परम कारण यार एक कण गंगा पतित पावन. Chinmaya, spiritual jal, water, say that Paramakaran, original cause, Yara Ekakana, of which one drop, Ganga, the sacred Ganges, Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen souls. The water of the Karan ocean, which is the original cause, is therefore spiritual. The sacred Ganges, which is but a drop of it, purifies the fallen souls. सेयित कारणार्णवे सेयि संकर्षण अपानर एक अंशे करेण शयन. सेयित that the certainly Karana Arnave in the ocean of cause or causal ocean say that Sankarshan, Lord Sankarshan, Apanar of his own Eka one Amshe by the part Karanera Shayan lies down. In that ocean lies a plenary portion of Lord Sankarshan. महत स्रष्टा पुरुष तिहो जगत कारण आद्य अवतार करे मायाय ईक्षण. Mahat Srishta, the creator of the total material energy, Purusha, the person, Tiho, he, Jagat Karana, the cause of material cosmic manifestation, Adya, original, Avatar, incarnation, Kari does, Mayaya, over the material energy, Ikshana, glance. He is known as the first Purusha, the creator of the total material energy. He is the cause of universes. The first incarnation casts his glance over the Maya. माया शक्ति रहे कारणाब्धिर बाहिरे कारण समुद्र माया परशिते नारे. Maya Shakti, material energy, Rahe, remains, Karanabdhira, to the causal ocean Bahire, Karana Samudra, external, the Karan Samudra, the causal ocean, Maya, material energy, Parashite Nare, cannot touch. Maya Shakti resides outside the causal ocean, the Karana ocean. Maya cannot touch its waters. सीतमायार दुविविध अवस्थिति जगतेर उपदान प्रधान प्रकृति. Sayit that certainly Maya of the material energy do with two varieties, avasthiti, existence, jagatera of the material world, upadana, the ingredients, pradhana, named pradhana, prakriti, material nature. Maya has two varieties of existence. One is called Pradhan or Prakriti. It supplies the ingredients of the material world. Maya, the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is divided in two parts. Maya is both the cause of cosmic manifestation and the agent who supplies its ingredients. As the cause of cosmic manifestation, she is known as Maya, and as the agent supplying ingredients of the cosmic manifestation, she is known as Pradhana. An explicit description of these divisions of the external energy is given in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.24.1 to 4. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.63.26, the ingredients and cause of the material cosmic manifestation are described as follows. कालो दैवं कर्म जीव स्वभावो द्रव्यं क्षेत्रं प्राण आत्मव्यकारः तत्सङ्गतो बीजरोह प्रवाहस्त्वान्मायेश तन्निषेधं प्रपद्ये. O my Lord, time, activity, providence, and nature are four parts of the causal aspect, Maya, of the external energy. The conditioned vital force, the subtle material ingredients called the Dravya, and the material nature, which is the field of activity where the false ego acts as the soul, as well as the 11 senses and 5 elements earth, water, fire, air, and ether, which are 16 ingredients of the body. These are the ingredient aspect of Maya. The body is generated from activity, and activity is generated from the body, just as the tree is generated from the seed that is generated from a tree. This reciprocal cause and effect is called Maya. My dear Lord, you can save me from this cycle of cause and effect. I worship your lotus feet. Although the living entity is primarily related to causal portion of Maya, he is nevertheless conducted by the ingredients of Maya. Three forces work in the causal portion of Maya: knowledge, desire, and activity. The material ingredients are the manifestation of Maya as pradhana, as as Pradhan. In other words, when the three qualities of Maya are in a dormant stage, they exist as Prakriti, Avyakta, or Pradhan. The word Avyakta, referring to the non manifested, is another name of Pradhan. In the Avyakta stage, material nature is without varieties. Varieties are manifested by the Pradhana portion of Maya. The word Pradhana is therefore more important than Avyakta or Prakriti. जगत कारण नाही प्रकृति जड़ रूप शक्ति संचारी तारे कृष्ण करे कृपा. Jagat of the material world Karan, the cause, Nahi, cannot be Prakriti, the material nature, Jada, Rupa, dull without action, Shakti, the energy, Sanchariya, infusing, Tare, unto the dull material nature, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Kare, shows, Kripa, mercy. Because Prakriti is dull and inert, it cannot actually be the cause of material world, but Lord Krishna shows his mercy by infusing his energy into the dull, inert matter, material nature. कृष्ण शक्ति प्रकृति हय गौण कारण अग्नि शक्ति लौह ये छे कर ये जारण. Krishna Shakti, by the energy of Krishna, Prakriti, the material nature, Haya becomes Gauna, indirect, Karan, cause, Agni Shakti, by the energy of fire, Lauha, iron, Yeche, just as Karaye becomes Jaran, powerful or red hot. Thus, Prakriti, by the energy of Lord Krishna, becomes the secondary cause, just as the iron becomes red hot by the energy of fire. अतएव कृष्ण मूल जगत कारण प्रकृति कारण ये छे अजागल स्थान. Ataiva, therefore, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Mula, original, Jagat Karana, the cause of the cosmic manifestation, Prakriti, material nature, Karana, cause, Yeche, exactly like Aja Galastana, nipples on the neck of the goat. Therefore, Lord Krishna is original cause of the cosmic manifestation. Prakriti is like the nipples on the neck of the goat, for they cannot give any milk. The external energy composed of Pradhan or Prakriti is as the ingredient supplying portion, and Maya as the causal portion is known as Maya Shakti. Inert material nature is not actual cause of the material manifestation for Karanar Navashai Mahavishnu. The plenary expansion of Krishna activates all the ingredients. It is in this way that material nature has the power to supply the ingredients. The example given is that iron has no power to heat or burn, but after coming in contact with the fire, the iron becomes red hot and can then infuse, heat, and burn other things. Material nature is like iron, for it has no independence to act without the touch of Vishnu, who is compared to fire. Lord Vishnu activates the material nature by the power of his glance, and then the iron like material nature becomes the material supplying agent, just as iron made red hot becomes burning agent. Material nature cannot independently become an agent for supplying the material ingredients. This is more clearly explained by Sri Kapila Dev, an incarnation of Godhead in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.28.40. Yatholmukad visphulingad dhumad swasambhavat api आत्मात्वेनाभिमाताद् यथा अग्नि पृथक् उल्मुकात्. Although smoke, flaming wood, and sparks are all considered together as ingredients of fire, the flaming wood is nevertheless different from the fire. The smoke is different from the flaming wood. The material elements, earth, water, fire, etc., are like smoke, living entities are like sparks, and the material nature, as Pradhan, is like the flaming wood. But all of them are the recipients of the power from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are thus able to manifest their individual capacities. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the origin of all manifestations. The material nature can supply only when it is activated by the glands of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as a woman can deliver a child after being impregnated by the semen of a man, so material nature can supply the material elements after being glanced upon by Mahavishnu. Therefore, Pradhan cannot be independent of the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Prakriti, the total material energy, works under the superintendence of the Lord. The original source of the material elements is Krishna. Therefore, attempt of the atheistic Sankhya philosopher to consider the material nature, the source of these elements, forgetting Krishna, is useless. Like trying to get milk from the nipple-like bumps of skin hanging on the neck of the goat. माया अंशे कही तारे निमित्त कारण सेह नहीं आते करता हेतु नारायण. Maya amshe, to other portion of material nature, kahi, I say tare, unto her nimitta karan, immediate cause. Seha nahi, that cannot be yate, because karta hetu, the original cause, Narayan, Lord Narayan. The Maya aspect of the material nature is the immediate cause of the cosmic manifestation, but it cannot be the real cause, for the original cause is Lord Narayan. घटेर निमित्त हेतु यैचे कुंभकार तैचे जगतेर कर्ता पुरुषावतार. Ghater, the earthen pot, nimitta hetu, original cause, yaiche, just as Kumbhakar, potter, Taiche. Similarly, Jagatera Karta, the creator of the material world, Purusha Avatar, the Purusha incarnation of Karanarnavashai Vishnu. Just as the original cause of the earthen pot is the potter, so the creator of the material world is the first Purusha incarnation, Karana Arnavashai Vishnu. Krishna Karta Maya, Krishna Karta Maya Tarakarena Sahaya, Ghatera Karana Chakra Dandadi Upaya. Krishna, Lord Krishna Karta, the creator, Maya, the material energy, Tar, his, Karena, does, Sahaya, assistance, Ghatera Karana, the cause of the earthen pot, Chakra, Dandadi, the wheel, the rod, and so on, Upaya, instruments. Lord Krishna is the creator, Maya only helps him as an instrument, just like the potter's wheel and other instruments, which are the instrumental causes of pot. दूर हैते पुरुष करे माया ते अवधान जीव रूप वीर्य ताटे करेण आधान. Durahite, from a distance, Purusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kare, does, Mayate, unto the material energy, Avadhana, glancing over, Jiva Rupa, the living entities, Virya, the seed, Tate, in her, Karena, does, Adhana, impregnation. The first Purusha cast his glance at Maya from a distance, and then, thus, he impregnates her with the seed of life in the form of living entities. एक अंग भासे करे माया ते मिलन माया हिते जन्मे तबे ब्रह्मांडे रगण. एक वन अंगे भाषे bodily reflection kari does maya te in the material energy milan mixture. Maya, the material energy haite from janme grows tabe then brahmandera gana, the group of universes, the reflected rays of his body mix with Maya, and thus Maya gives birth to myriad universes. The Vedic conclusion is that cosmic manifestation visible to the eyes of conditioned soul is a cause caused by the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, through the exertion of his specific energies. Although in conclusion of atheistic deliberation, this manifested cosmic exhibition is attributed to material nature. The energy of the absolute truth is exhibited in three ways: spiritual, material, and marginal. The absolute truth is identical with his spiritual energy. Only when contacted by the spiritual energy can the material energy work, and the temporary material manifestation thus appear active. In the conditioned state, the living entities of the marginal energy are a mixture of spiritual and material energies. The marginal material energy is originally under the control of spiritual energy, but under the control of material energy, the living entities have been wandering in forgetfulness within the material world since time immemorial. The conditioned, the conditioned state is caused by the misuse of the individual independence of the spiritual platform, for this separates the living entity from the association of spiritual energy. But when the living entity is enlightened by the grace of Supreme Lord or his pure devotee and becomes inclined to revive his original state of loving service, he is on the most auspicious platform of eternal bliss and knowledge. The marginal jiva or living entity misuses his independence and becomes averse to the eternal service attitude. When he independently thinks he is not energy but energetic, this misconception of his own existence leads him to the attitude of lording it over the material nature. Material nature appears to be just the opposite of the spiritual energy. The fact is that the material energy can work only when in contact with the spiritual energy. Originally, the energy of Krishna is spiritual, but it works in diverse ways, like electrical energy, which can exhibit functions of refrigerating or heating through its manifestation in different ways. The material energy is spiritual energy covered by a cloud of illusion or Maya. Therefore, material energy is not self sufficient in working. Krishna invests his spiritual energy into material energy and then it can act. Just as iron can act like fire after being heated by the fire, the material energy can act only when empowered by the spiritual energy. When covered by the cloud of material energy, the living entity, who is also a spiritual energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, forgets about the activities of spiritual energy and considers all that happens in the material manifestation to be wonderful. But a person who is engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness and who is therefore already situated in the spiritual energy can understand that material energy has no independent powers. Whatever actions are going on are due to the help of spiritual energy. The material energy, which is perverted form of the spiritual energy, presents everything pervertedly, thus causing misconceptions and duality. Material scientists and philosophers, conditioned by the spell of material nature, suppose that material energy acts automatically and therefore they are frustrated. Like an illusion person who tries to get milk from the nipple-like bunches of skin on the neck of goat. As there is no possibility of getting milk from these bunches of skin, there is similarly no possibility that anyone will be successful in understanding the original cause of creation by putting forward theories produced by material energy. Such an attempt is manifestation of ignorance. The material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Maya or illusion because in two capacities, by supplying the material elements and by causing the material manifestation, it makes the conditioned soul unable to understand the real truth of creation. However, when a living entity is liberated from the conditioned life of matter, he can understand the two different activities of material nature, namely covering and bewildering. The origin of creation is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10. The cosmic manifestation is working under the direction of Supreme Lord, who invests the material energy with three material qualities. Agitated by these qualities, the element supplied by the material energy produces variety of things, just as the artist produces varieties of pictures by mixing the three colors red, yellow, and blue. Yellow represents the quality of goodness, red represents passion, and blue represents ignorance. Therefore, the colorful material creation is but an interaction of these three qualities represented in 81 varieties of mixtures. 3 into 3 equaling 9, 9 into 9 thus equaling 81. Deluded by material energy, the conditioned soul, enamored by these 81 varieties of manifestation, wants to lord it over the material energy, just as moth wants to enjoy a fire. This illusion is the net result of the conditioned soul's forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When conditioned, the soul is impelled by the material energy to engage in sense gratification, whereas one enlightened by the spiritual energy engages himself in the service of the Supreme Lord in his eternal relationship. Krishna is the original cause of the spiritual world and he is covered cause of material manifestation. He is also the original cause of the marginal potency, the living entities. He is both the leader and maintainer of the living entities, who are called the marginal potency because they can act under the protection of spiritual energy or under the cover of material energy. With the help of spiritual energy, we can understand that independence is visible only in Krishna, who by his inconceivable energy is able to act in any way he likes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is absolute whole and the living entities are parts of the absolute whole. This relationship of Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities is eternal. One should never mistakenly think that spiritual whole can be divided into small parts by small material energy. The Bhagavad Gita does not support this Mayavad theory. Rather, it clearly states that living entities are eternally small fragments of the supreme spiritual whole. As a part can never be equal to the whole, so a living entity as a minute fragment of the spiritual whole cannot be equal at any time to the supreme whole, the absolute personality of Godhead. Although the Supreme Lord and the living entities are quantitatively related as the whole, and the parts are nevertheless qualitatively one with the whole. Thus, the living entity, although always qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord, are in the relative position. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is controller of everything, and the living entities are always controlled either by spiritual energy or by the material energy. Therefore, the living entity can never become the controller of material energy or spiritual energies. The natural position of living being is always as the subordinate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one agrees to act in such a position, he attains the perfection in life. But if one rebels against these principles, he is in the conditioned state. Text 67. अगण्यानंत यत अंडश निवेश तटरूपे पुरुष करे सबा ते प्रकाश. Aganya, innumerable, ananta, unlimited, yata, all, under, universes, sannivesh, groups, tatarupe, in as many forms, purusha, the Lord, kare, does, sabate, in every one of them, prakasha, manifestation. The Purusha enters each and every ones of the countless universes. He manifests himself in as many separate forms as there are universes. पुरुषनाशाते यबे बाहिराय श्वास निश्वास सहिते हय ब्रह्मांड प्रकाश. Purushanashate, in the nostrils of the Lord, Yabe, when Bahiraya expels Shwasa, breathe, Nishwasa Sahite, with that exhalation, Haya, there is Brahmanda Prakash, manifestation of universes. When the Purusha exhales, the universes are manifested with each outward breath. पुनरपि श्वासयबे प्रवेश अंतरे श्वास सह ब्रह्मांड पैशे पुरुष शरीरे. पुनरपि thereafter श्वास breathe yabe when praveshe enters antare श्वास सह with that inhaled breathe brahmand universes paishe enter purusha sharir within the body of the Lord. Thereafter when he inhales, all the universes again enter his body. In his form as Karanodakshai Vishnu, the Lord impregnates material nature by his glands. The transcendental molecules of that glands are particles of spirit or spiritual atoms which appear in different species of life according to the seeds of their individual karma from the previous cosmic manifestation. And the Lord himself by his partial representation creates a body of innumerable universes and again enters each of those universes as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. His coming in contact with Maya is explained in the Bhagavad Gita by comparison between air and sky. The sky enters everything material, yet it is far away from the us. Gavakshera randhera yena त्रशरेणु चले पुरुषेर लोमकूपे ब्रह्मांडेर जले. Gavakshera, the windows of a room, randhera within the holes, yena like Trasharenu, 6 atoms together, Chale moves. Purushera of the Lord, Loma Kupe in the holes of hair, Brahmandera of universes, Chale, the network. Just as atomic particles of dust pass through the openings of a window, so the network of the universes pass through the pores of the skin of the Purusha. यस्यैक निःश्वसितकालम् अथावलम्ब्य जीवन्ति लोमवील च जगदण्डनाथ विष्णुर्महान् स इह यस्य कलाविशेषो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Yasya whose ekavan nishvasita of breath kalam time atha thus avalambya taking shelter of jivanti live loma vilajah grown from the hair holes jagatandanath the master of the universes the Brahmas Vishnu Mahan the Supreme Lord Mahavishnu Sir, that here, yes, whose kala vishesha, particular plenary portion or expansion, Govindam, Lord Govinda, Adi Purusham, the original person, Tamaham, him, I, Pajami, worship. The Brahmas and other lords of the mundane world appear from the pores of Mahavishnu and remain alive for the duration of his one exhalation. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom Mahavishnu is a portion of a plenary portion. This description of Lord's creative energy is from the Brahma Samhita 5.48, which Lord Brahma compiled after his personal realization. When Mahavishnu exhales, the spiritual seeds of the universes emanate from him in the form of molecular particles, like those that are visible 3 times the size of an atom. When sunlight is diffused through a small hole, in these days of atomic research, it will be a worthwhile engagement for atomic scientists to learn from this statement how the entire creation develops from the spiritual atoms emanating from the body of the Lord. Text 72. Kwaham tamo mahad aham khacharagnivarbhu swa संवेष्टे तिताण्डघटसप्तविटाष्टिकायः क्वेदृक् विधाविगाणिताण्डपराणुचार्या वाताध्वरोमविवरस्य च ते महित्वम् Qua aham, where I, tamah, material nature, mahat, the total material energy, aham, false ego, kha, ether, chara, air, agni, fire, va, water, bhu, earth, sambeshtita, surrounded by, andaghata, apart like universe, saptavetashti, seven vatashtis, kaya, body, qua, where, idrik, such, vida, like Aviganita, unlimited, under universes, para unucharya, moving like the atomic dust, vata, adva, air holes, roma of hair on the body, vivarasya of the holes, cha also, te, your, mahitvam, greatness. Where am I? A small creature of seven spans, the measure of my own hand. I am enclosed in the universe composed of material nature, the total material energy, false ego, ether, air, water, and earth. And what is your glory? Unlimited universes pass through the pores of your body just like particles of dust passing through the opening of a window. When Lord Brahma, after having stolen all Krishna's calves and cowherd boys, returned and saw that the calves and boys were still roaming with Krishna, he offered his prayer. Bhagavatam 10.14.11. In his defeat, a conditioned soul, even one so great as Brahma, who manages the affairs of the entire universe, cannot compare to the personality of Godhead, for he can produce numberless universes simply by spiritual rays emanating from the pores of the body. Material scientists should take lessons from the utterances of Sri Brahma regarding our significance in comparison to God. In these prayers of Brahma, there is much to learn for those who are falsely puffed up by the accumulation of power. अंशेर अंश ये कलातार नाम गोविंदेर प्रतिमूर्ति श्री बलराम. Amshare of the part, Amsha part, yea that which Kala, Akala, or part of the plenary portion, Tara, Nama, its Nama, name, Govindera of Lord Govinda, Pratimurti, counterform, Sri Balaram, Lord Balaram, part of a whole is called Kala. Sri Balaram is the counterform of Lord Govinda. तार एक स्वरूप श्री महासंकर्षण तार अंश पुरुष हय कला ते गणन तार his एक fun swarupa manifestation Sri Mahasankarshan great Lord Mahasankarshan Tara his amsha part Purusha the Mahavishnu incarnation Haya is Kala te ganan counted as a Kala. Balram's own expansion is called Mahasankarshan and his fragment the Purusha is counted as Kala or part of the plenary portion. यहाँ के कला नहीं ती हो महाविष्णु महापुरुषावतारी ते हो सर्वजिष्णु यहाँ के unto whom ta certainly kala kahi I say kala tiho he Mahavishnu Lord Mahavishnu Mahapurusha avatari Mahavishnu the source of other Purusha incarnations teho he Sarvajishnu all pervading. I say that this kala is Mahavishnu. He is the Mahapurusha who is the source of other Purushas and who is all pervading. गर्भोदक शिरोदशाई दोहे पुरुष नाम से दुई यार अंश विष्णु विश्वधाम. Garbha Uda in the ocean known as Garbhodak within the universe. Kshirodashai, one who lies in the ocean of milk. Dohe, both of them Purusha Nama, known as Purusha Lord Vishnu. Say, those, Dui, two, Yara Amsha, whose plenary portions Vishnu Vishwadham, Lord Vishnu, the abode of total universes. Garbhodakshai and Kshirodakshai are both called Purushas. They are plenary portions of Karanodakshai Vishnu, the first Purusha who is the abode of all the universes. The symptoms of Purusha are described in the Laghu Bhagavatamrit while describing the incarnations of Supreme Personality of Godhead. The author has quoted from Vishnu Puran, where it is said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Purushottama, Lord Krishna, who is always free from the contamination of the six material dualities, whose plenary expansion, Mahavishnu, glances over the matter to create cosmic manifestation, who expands himself in various transcendental forms, all of which are one and the same, who is the master of all living entities, who is always free and liberated from the contamination of material energy, and who, when he appears in the material world, seems one of us, although he has an eternally spiritual, blissful, transcendental form." In summarizing this statement, Rupa Goswami has concluded that the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who acts in cooperation with the material energy, is called Purusha. विष्णोस्तु त्रीणि रूपाणि पुरुषाख्यानि यथो विदु एकं तु महतः सृष्टिर्द्वितीयं त्वण्डसंस्थितं तृतीयं सर्वभूतस्थं तानि ज्ञात्वा विमुच्यते. Vishnu, of Lord Vishnu, too certainly three rupani, forms, Purusha Akhyani, celebrated as the Purusha, Atho, how, Vidu, they know, Ekam, one of them, two, but Mahata Shrashtir, the creator of the total material energy, Vitiyam, the second, two, but under samsthitam, situated within the universe, Tritiyam, the third, Sarvabhutastham, within the hearts of all living entities, Tani, these three, Kyatva, knowing Vimuchyate, one becomes liberated. Vishnu has three forms called Purushas. The first, Mahavishnu, is the creator of the soul, total material energy, Mahat. The second is Garbhodashai, who is situated within each universe, and the third is Kshirodashai, who lives in the heart of every living being. He who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. This verse appears in the Laghu Bhagavatamrit, where it has been quoted from the Satvata Tantra. यद्यपि कहिए तारे कृष्णेर कलाकारी मत्स्य कूर्मादि अवतारे रति हो अवतारी. Yadyapi, although kahiye, I say, tare to him, Krishnero of Lord Krishna, kala, part of the part, kari, making, matsya, the fish, incarnation, kurma adi, the tortoise, incarnation and others, avatarero of all these incarnations, tiho, he, avatari. The original source, although Karanodakshai Vishnu is called the Kala of Lord Krishna, he is the source of Matsya Kurma and other incarnations. एते चांश कलह पुंसः कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयं इंद्राणी व्याकुलं लोकं मृडयन्ति युगे युगे. Ete, all these also Amshakala, part of the part, Pumsa, of the Supreme Person, Krishna too, but Lord Krishna, Bhagavan, the original personality of Godhead, Swayam, himself, Indrari, the demons, Vyakulam, disturbed, Lokam, all the planets, Mridayanti, makes them happy, Yuge Yuge, in different millenniums. All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of plenary portions of the Purusha avatars, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In every age, he protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. This quotation is from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28. से पुरुष सृष्टि स्थिति प्रलयेर कर्ता नाना अवतार करे जगतेर भरता. Say that Purusha, the personality of Godhead, Srishti Sthiti Pralayera, of creation, maintenance and annihilation, Karta, creator, Nana, various avatar, incarnations, Kare makes, Jagatera, of the material world, Bharta, the maintainer. The Purusha, Karanodakshai Vishnu, is the performer of creation, maintenance and destruction. He manifests himself in many incarnations, for he is the maintainer of the world. सृष्टि आदि निमित्ते ये अमशेर अवधान सीता अमशेर कही अवतार नाम. Srishti Adi Nimitte, for the cause of creation, maintenance and annihilation, yea which Amshera Avadhana, the manifestation of part, Seta, that certainly Amshera Kahi, I speak about the plenary expansion, Avataranama, by the name incarnation. That fragment of the Supreme Lord known as Mahapurusha appears for the purpose of creation, maintenance and annihilation, and is called an incarnation. अद्यावतार महापुरुष भगवान सर्व अवतार बीज सर्वाश्रय धाम. Adya Avatar, the original incarnation, Mahapurush, Lord Mahavishnu, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Sarva Avatar Bija, the seed of all different kinds of incarnation, Sarva Ashraya Dham, the shelter of everything. That Mahapurusha is identical with the personality of Godhead. He is the original incarnation, the seed of all others, and the shelter of everything. आद्यो अवतारः पुरुषः परस्य कलः स्वभावः सद् असन्मानश्च द्रव्यं विकारो गुण इन्द्रियाणि वीरस्वरात् स्थाश्नु चरिष्णु भूम्नः. Adya Avatar, the original incarnation, Purusha, Mahavishnu, Parasya, of the Supreme Lord, Kala, time, Swabhava, nature, Shat Asat, cause and effect, Manah, Cha, as well as the mind, Dravyam, the five elements, Vikara, the transformation or the false ego, Guna, the modes of nature, Indriyani, senses, Virat, the universal form, Swarat, complete, independence, Sthashnu, immovable, Charishnu, movable, Bhumna, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Purusha, Mahavishnu, is the primary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Time, nature, Prakriti as cause and effect, the mind and the material the mind, material elements, force, ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form, complete independence, and the moving and non moving beings appear subsequently as his opulences. Describing the incarnations and their symptoms, the Laghu Bhagavatamrit has stated that when Lord Krishna descends to conduct the creative affairs of the material manifestation, he is an avatar or incarnation. The two categories of avatars are empowered devotees and Tad Ekatma Rupa, the Lord himself. An example of Tadekatma Rupa is Shesh, and an example of devotee is Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan has commented that material cosmic manifestation is partial kingdom of God, whereas God must sometime come to execute a specific function. The plenary portion of Lord through whom Lord Krishna executes such actions is called Mahavishnu, who is the primal beginning of all incarnations. Inexperienced observers presume that the material energy provides both cause and the elements of the cosmic manifestation, and that the living entities are the enjoyers of material nature. But the devotees of Bhagavata school, which has scrutinizingly examined the entire situation, can understand that material nature can independently be neither the supplier of the material elements nor the cause of the material manifestation. Material nature gets the power to supply material elements from the glance of Supreme Purusha, Mahavishnu, and when empowered by him, she is called by the cause of material manifestation, both features of material nature, as the cause of material creation and as the source of its elements, exist due to the glance of Supreme Personality of Godhead. The various expansions of Supreme Lord who act to empower the material energy are known as plenary expansions or incarnations, as illustrated by the example of many flames lit from one flame. All these plenary expansions and incarnations are as good as Vishnu himself. Nevertheless, because of their activities in controlling Maya, sometimes they are known as Mayika or having a relationship with Maya. This is the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.6.42. जाग्रे पौरुषं रूपं भगवान् महदादिभिः सम्भूतं षोडशकलम् आदौ लोकशिशिक्षया. Jagre accepted Paurusham, the Purusha incarnations, Rupam, the form, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahatadibhi, by total material energy, Sambhutam created Shodasha, 16, Kalam, energies, Ado, originally, Loko, the material worlds, Sirikshaya, with the desire to create. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord expanded himself in the form of the Purusha incarnations, accompanied by all the ingredients of material incarnation. First, he created the 16 principal energies suitable for the creation. This was for the purpose of manifesting the material universes. This is the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.1. The commentary of Madhva on Srimad Bhagavatam mentions that the following 16 spiritual energies are present in the spiritual world: Shri, Bhu, Leela, Kanti, Kirti, Tushti, Gir, Pushti, Satya, Jnana, Jnana, Jaya, Utkarshini, Vimala, Yogamaya, Prahvi, Ishan, and the Anugraha. In his commentary on the Laghu Bhagavatamrit, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan has said the above energies are also known by 9 names: Vimala, Utkarshini, Gyan, Kriya, Yog, Prahvi, Satya, Ishan, and Anugraha. In Bhagavad Sandarbha Shrilajiva Goswami, text 117, they are described as Shri, Pushti, Gir, Kanti, Kirti, Tushti, Ila, Jaya, Vidya, Maya, Samvit, Sandhini, Alhadini, Bhakti, Murti, Vimala, Yoga, Pravi, Ishana, Anugraha, etc. All these energies act in different spheres of the Lord's supremacy. यद्यपि सर्वाश्रय ते हो ताह ते संसार, अंतरात्मा रूपे ते हो जगत उद्धार, जगताधार. Yadyapi, although Sarvashraya, the shelter of everything, Tiho, he, the Lord, Tahate, in him, Samsar, the material creation, Antah Atma Rupe, in the form of super soul, Tiho, he, Jagata Adhar, the support of whole creation. Although the Lord is the shelter of everything, and although all the universes rest in him, he, as the super soul, is also the support of everything. Prakriti Sahite Tar, उभय संबंध तथापि प्रकृति सह नाही स्पर्श गंध. प्रकृति साहित्य with the material energy tar his ubhaya sambandh, both relationship, तथापि still prakriti sah with the material nature nahi, there is not sparshagandha, even the slightest contact. Although he is thus connected with the material energy in two ways, he does not have the slightest contact with it. In the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami, commenting upon the Lord's transcendental position beyond the material quality, says that Vishnu, as the controller and superintendent of the material nature, has a connection with the material qualities. That connection is called yoga. However, the person who directs a prison is not also a prisoner. Similarly, although Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu directs or supervises the qualitative nature, he has no connection with the material modes of nature. The expansions of Lord Vishnu always retain their supremacy. They are never connected with the material qualities. One may argue that Mahavishnu cannot have any connection with the material qualities because if he were so connected, Srimad Bhagavatam would not state that material nature, ashamed of her thankless task of acting to induce living entities to become averse to Supreme Lord, remains behind the Lord in shyness. In answer to the argument, it may be said that the word guna means regulation. Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva are situated within this universe as the directors of the three modes, and their connection with the modes is known as yoga. This does not indicate, however, that these personalities are bound by the qualities of nature. Lord Vishnu specifically is always the controller of the three qualities. There is no question of his coming under the control. Although the casual Although the causal and element supplying feature exists in material nature by dint of the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is never affected by glancing over the material qualities. By the will of Supreme Lord, the different qualitative changes in the material world take place, but there is no possibility of material affection change or contamination for Lord Vishnu. एतद् ईशनम् ईशस्य प्रकृतियस्तोऽपि तद्गुणे न युज्यते सदात्मास्थे यथा बुद्धिस्तदाश्रय एतद् this ईशनम् opulence ईशस्य of the Lord prakriti within the material world api although tat gune by the material qualities na yuchyate never affected sada always atmasthe situated in his own energy yatha as also buddhi intelligence tat his ashray devotees. This is the opulence of the Lord. Although situated within the material nature, he is never affected by the modes of material nature. Similarly, those who have surrendered to him and have fixed their intelligence upon him are not influenced by the modes of material nature. This is the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.11.38. एमत गीता तेह पुनः पुनः कय सर्वदा ईश्वर तत्व अचिंत्य शक्ति हय एमत गीता तेह in the Bhagavad Gita पुनः पुनः again and again, Kaya, it is said, Sarvada, always, Ishvara Tattva, the truth of the absolute truth, Achintya Shakti Haya, is inconceivable. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita also states again and again that the absolute truth always possesses inconceivable power. Amita jagate vasi jagat amate, na ami jagate vasi na ama jagate. Ami, I, the, certainly, Jagate, in the material world, Vasi, situated, Jagat, the whole material creation, Amate, in me, no, not, Ami, I, Jagate, within the material world, Vasi, situated, na, nor, Ama, in me, Jagate, the material world. Lord Krishna said, I am situated in the material world and the world rests in me, but at the same time, I am not situated in the material world, nor does it rest in me in truth. Nothing in existence is possible unless energies by the will of Lord. The entire manifested creation is therefore resting on the energy of the Lord. But one should not therefore presume that material manifestation is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A cloud may rest in the sky, but that does not mean that sky and the cloud are one and the same. Similarly, the qualitative material nature and its products are never identical with the Supreme Lord. The tendency to lord it over the material nature or Maya cannot be a feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he descends to the material world, he maintains his transcendental nature, unaffected by the material qualities. In both spiritual and material worlds, he is always the controller of all energies. The uncontaminated spiritual nature always exists within him. The Lord appears and disappears within the material world in different features for his pastimes, yet he is the origin of all cosmic manifestations. The material manifestation cannot exist separate from the Supreme Lord. Yet, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in spite of his connection with the material nature, cannot be subordinate to nature's influence. His original form of eternal bliss and knowledge is never subordinate to the three qualities of material nature. This is a specific feature of Supreme Lord's inconceivable potencies. अचिंत्य ऐश्वर्येर ऐश्वर्य ए जानिया अमर एत गीतार अर्थ कैला प्रचार Achintya, inconceivable Aishwarya, opulence, A, this Jani, you must know Amar, Eta this Gitara Artha, the meaning of Bhagavad Gita, Kaila Prachar, Lord Krishna propagated. O Arjuna, you should know this is my inconceivable opulence. This is the meaning propagated by the Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Seita Purushayara Amshadhare Nama Chaitanyera Sange Se Nityananda Ram. Seita, that Purusha, Supreme Person, Yar, of whom Amsha, as part Dharinam, is known, Chaitanya Sange, which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say that Nityananda Ram, Lord Nityananda or Balaram, that Mahapurusha, Karanodakshai Vishnu, is known as the plenary part of him who is Lord Nityananda Balaram, the favorite associate of Lord Chaitanya. एतनवमश्लोकेर अर्थविवरण दशमश्लोकेर अर्थशूनदीयमान एतदस्नवमश्लोकेर of the ninth verse Artha Vivaran, description of the meaning, Dashama Shlokera of the 10th verse, Artha meaning, Shuna, here, Diyaman, with attention. I have thus explained the ninth verse, and now I shall explain the 10th. Please listen with rapt attention. यस्यांशः आंशः श्रीलगर्भोदशायि यन्नाभियब्जं लोकसङ्घातनालं लोकस्रष्टुश्रुतिकधाम धातुस्तं श्रीनित्यानन्दरामं प्रपद्ये यस्य whose amsha portion of the plenary portion Srila Garbhodakshai Vishnu yet of whom Nabi Abjam the navel lotus Lokasanghat of multitude of planets Nalam having a stem that is resting place Lokasrashtu of Lord Brahma, creator of the planets, Shrutikadham, the birthplace Dhatu of the creator, Tam to him, Sri Nityananda Ramam, to Lord Balaram in the form of Lord Nityananda, Prapadye, I surrender. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, a partial part of whom is Garbhodakshay Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakshay Vishnu sprouts the lotus, that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of multitude of planets. In the Mahabharata, Shanti Parv it is said that he who is Pradyumna is also Anirudh. He is also the father of Brahma. Thus, Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Kshirodakshay Vishnu are identical plenary expansion of Pradyumna, the original deity of Brahma, who is born from the lotus of the flower. It is Pradyumna who gives Brahma the direction for cosmic management. A full description of Brahma's birth is given in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.8.15 to 16. Describing the features of three Purushas, the Laghu Bhagavatamrit says that Garbhodakshay Vishnu has four-handed form, and when he himself enters the hollow of the universe and lies down in the ocean of milk, he is known as Kshirodakshay Vishnu, who is the super soul of all living entities, including the demigods. In the Satvata Tantra, it is said that the third Purusha incarnation, Kshirodakshay Vishnu, is situated as the super soul in everyone's heart. This Kshirodakshay Vishnu is an expansion of Garbhodakshay Vishnu for pastimes. सेत पुरुष अनंत ब्रह्मांड सृजीय सब अंडे प्रवेशील बहुमूर्ति हैया Seita, that certainly Purusha, incarnation, Ananta Brahmanda, innumerable universes, Srijiya, creating, Sab, all Ande, in the egg-like universes, Praveshila, entered, Bahumurti Hayya, taking multifarious forms. After creating millions of universes, the first Purusha entered into each of them in separate form as Sri Garbhodakshai. भीतरे प्रवेशी देखे सब अंधकार रहिते नाही क स्थान करिला विचार भीतरे within the universe praveshi entering देखे he sees sab all andhakar darkness rahite to say nahi ka there is not sthana place karila vichar considered. Entering the universe, he found only darkness with no place in which to reside. Thus he began to consider निजांग स्वेद जल करेला सृजन से जले कैला अर्ध ब्रह्मांडे भरण निज अंग of his own body swed jala water from perspiration karela did srijana creation se jale with that water kaila did ardha brahmand half of the universe bharana filling. Then he created water from the perspiration of his own body, and with that water filled half of the universe. ब्रह्मांड प्रमाण पंचशत कोटि योजन आयाम विस्तार दुई हय एक सम ब्रह्मांड प्रमाण measurement of the universe panchashat 50 koti 10 millions yojana length of 8 miles ayam length vistar breadth dui both of them hay are ekasam one and the same. The universe measures 500 million yojans. Its length and breadth are one and the same. जले भरी अर्ध ताह कैला निज वास, आर अर्धे कैला 14 भुवन प्रकाश. Jale with water bhari filling earth half tah there Kaila made Nijavas own residence. Are other Ardhe in the half Kaila did Chodha Bhuvan, the 14 worlds Prakash manifestation. After filling the half the universe with the water, he made his own residence therein and manifested the 14 worlds in other half. The 14 worlds are enumerated in Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd Canto 5th chapter. The upper planetary systems are Bhu, Bhuvar, Swar, Mahar, Janas, Tapas and Satya. The 7 lower planetary systems are Tal, Atal, Vital, Nital, Talatal, Mahatal and Sutal. The lower planets as whole are called Patal. Among the upper planetary systems, Bhu, Bhuvar and Swar constitute Swarglok and the rest are called Martya. The entire universe is thus known as Triloka. ताहाई प्रकट कैल वैकुंठ निज धाम शेष शयन जले करिला विश्राम. Tahai, their Prakata manifestation, Kaila did Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, Nijadham, his own abode, Shesha of Lord Shesha, Shayana, on the bed, Jali, on the water, Karila did Vishram, rest. There he manifested Vaikuntha as his own abode and rested in the waters on the bed of Lord Shesha. अनंत शय्या तेताह करिला शयन सहस्र मस्तक तार सहस्र वदन सहस्र चरण हस्त सहस्र नयन सहस्र अवतार बीज जगत कारण. अनंत शय्या ते on Lord Ananta as the bed. Tahan there Karila Shayan lay down Sahasra thousand mastaka heads. Tara his Sahasra Vadan thousands of faces. Sahasra thousands charan legs. Hasta hands. Sahasra Nayana thousands of eyes. Sarva Avatar Bija the seed of all incarnations. Jagat Karan the cause of all material world. He lay there with Ananta as his bed. Lord Ananta is a divine serpent having thousands of heads, thousands of faces, thousands of eyes, and thousands of hands and feet. He is the seed of all incarnations and is the cause of the material world. In the reservoir of water, in the reservoir of water, first created by the perspiration of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, the Lord lies on the Shesha plenary expansion of the Vishnu who is described in Srimad Bhagavatam and in the four Vedas as follows. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva Tyatishthad Tashankulam. The Vishnu form called Anantashayana has thousands of hands and legs, thousands of eyes, and he is the active generator of all the incarnations within the material world. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.